I took my name tag. I can't even believe I'm telling you guys this. It's honestly embarrassing. I would never, this is just not the type of person I am, but I was just at my limit, obviously. Hi, guys. So today we are going to talk about quitting. I think that a lot of people look at it as a bad thing when you quit, but I also think that quitting can be a great thing and can be the thing that you're supposed to do. I have quit a lot of things in major areas of my life in the last 6 years. And prior to that, I wasn't quitting anything. And I remember just feeling very depressed. And I really wasn't happy. I don't know if I was really depressed, but I wasn't happy. I felt compressed, so like kind of smothered. I do have 2 kids and I was married. So I was doing the whole, raising the children, working full time and taking care of the household, getting the groceries. And I was never happy. And I didn't know if it was like the house that I lived in or was it my job. I often blamed it on my job. I always wanted to like be an entrepreneur and work for myself. And that's what my husband does. And I wanted to do the same thing. But then someone needed to carry the insurance and someone needed to have, the secure job. So that was me. That was the role that I was playing. And I was okay doing it for my kids because I love them very much. And that was just the time period that I was in. However, my daughter graduated from college back in 2022 and she moved away to a state that was, very far away. I'd have to fly in order to go see her. And that kind of sent me into a depression, which I had never honestly really thought of myself as a depressed kind of person. But that empty nest syndrome is real. I had a really hard time knowing how to enjoy my life because prior to the kids moving out and getting their own lives, my life was revolved around them and it was revolved around their activities and doing things with them. And so once they left, it was kind of just my husband and we don't have a lot in common. Ex-husband, I guess I should say. We don't have a lot in common anymore. And so that was tough. So what I want to do today is kind of break up the main areas of our lives into 4 main parts, although each of those are kind of broken up into smaller pieces. But the 4 main parts that I'm going to talk about today are health, people, environment, and security. And so I remember I talked with a life coach like a few years ago, and she had me fill out this paper that looked like a sunflower, and it had all these different areas of your life, and then you would rate them by kind of drawing a circle with like however far out it was how much happier you are with that. And then if you were super not happy, you're like pretty in close to the circle of the flower. And so then afterwards, you can kind of look at it and see like, well, what areas of my life could I work on and could I improve? And when I did that, it was pretty easy to see that I needed to work on a lot of areas of my life because they really just weren't fulfilling to me. I remember going to see my therapist about 6 years ago, and when I first started seeing her, I wanted to discuss like how I couldn't make decisions in any of the major areas of my life. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to be married. Was I in love with my husband? I couldn't decide where, like, if I didn't love my work, but parts of it I did, but I didn't really, never wanted to be there. Religion, like I've never decided, like I was brought up Christian and I brought my kids up Christian, but I never really felt Christian. I couldn't decide on that. When it comes to politics, I'm super in the middle. So that can be really frustrating and really hard. I started focusing on my health and I got pretty fit about maybe 7 or 8 years ago. I went through kind of a fitness state where I was eating pretty healthy and working out all the time. And when I went through the depression with my daughter leaving, I stopped working out. I started eating crap, basically. Like, kind of went back to, well, there's more to that too. My husband and I separated, and while we did that, he went back to eating, like, bachelor food, quick, easy, full of preservatives kind of stuff. And then when we got back together, I was depressed, and that food makes you happy, and also it's easier to deal with. And so when you're stressed out, you just kind of want things as simple as possible. And so I did slowly kind of eat worse and worse. And eventually we added drinking Coca-Cola to like each dinner. We would split a can, so it's not like we were being super stupid, but it was just something that I had never done, even while the kids were being raised. I never had pop in the house. So I have put on about 15 pounds in the last like 6 years, which I know to some people that's like not a big deal, but I'm pretty small framed. And so an extra 15 pounds does not make me feel good. I know that I've got a lot of fat going on in the middle that I am not happy with. So I would like to work on that. And then as far as people, so my ex-husband and I have had issues for years, honestly, probably decades. And when we first started seeing a marriage counselor, like probably 5 or 6 years ago, we went to her for maybe a year or so. And at one point she was like, I don't know why you guys are still married. I was like, we all kind of laughed it off, and like we were like, yeah, I know, I don't know why either. It's because we love each other, but we just can't get along. Like, we don't have the same values, I don't think. They're kind of similar, but we're super different people, and it's just become very difficult. And we have a lot of things from the past that we grew like animosity toward each other and got frustrated with each other. And so then every little thing now that happens, like, just would get blown out of proportion. And then, so we separated 4 years ago, and we were separated for about 7 months. I bought my own house, and once we got back together, I sold that house. I kind of talked about that a little bit in the last video. I sold that house, and we moved to one of our rentals, and then we bought another house. About 2 years later after that, we sold that house. So I've moved a bunch of times too, which I'll also get into. But as far as the marriage, we did finally this past year decide that we don't want to fight something anymore that just wasn't working. It was exhausting, and we still love each other, but we just can't seem to make it work. And we tried everything that we could think of. We did marriage counseling. We really did learn and grow a lot in terms of communication and all of that kind of stuff. We learned to do things for each other, but we still just couldn't make it work. And so finally, we filed for divorce, and that's where we're at now. As far as environment goes, like I said, I've moved about 6 times in the last 4 years. When we first separated, we sold a house that we had been in for like 5 years. And then from there, I bought my own house. I sold that house. We moved back to a rental, or we moved into one of our rentals. And like I said, we bought a new house, sold that one, moved back to that rental again. And then there was another home that we owned that we had been renting out. They moved out, and Craig really wanted to fix that up. So we moved into that home, and he started fixing that one up. So with the area that he works in, he does remodeling. So that does kind of open up the doors to be able to have access to living in different places. And he would rather live there and fix it up while we're living there, because it's just easier to be able to work on it on weekends and in the evenings. And it makes sense. And I became used to it. It really didn't bother me that much. But the moving, I think, got exhausting. Like, I've just never felt at home. So this last move in my apartment now is actually about 10 hours away from my family and my friends. I'm in North Carolina, and I had a couple friends here, and I just decided that I needed an entire new atmosphere. There were reasons that I didn't want to stay in Pennsylvania. I didn't want to be close to an area where, to be completely honest, if Craig started dating somebody, I didn't want to be there. and I won't accidentally run into him on the street. Oh, I wasn't planning on crying through this. Anyway. Yeah, so I moved far away so that there wouldn't be any chance of that. And I honestly had been wanting to move south for a very long time, for decades. And I just finally, I thought when I knew I would be getting an apartment, I knew I didn't want to stay in Erie. And so I would want to go where at least I knew people. And so I have a very good friend that's lived here. Like I said, she's been here for about 17 years. And yeah, so I finally just made the move, and I'm honestly very happy here. I really like being in a new area and getting to new things. And I have been networking and kind of putting myself out there and getting to know people, going to like meetup type of things. And I'm in a group on Facebook where it is specifically for people my age group to meet each other. And so that's been fun and really good for me to get to build a basic network around here, and to know that I have people I can talk to and hang out with and count on. So I think that's really important. The fourth section that I want to talk about is security. And so what I quit there was jobs. About 2 years ago, I quit my job at a university where I had worked for over 10 years. The department that I was working in had just become toxic and not a place that I wanted to be. And I've always felt that when people are miserable, if you're not happy in your job, that you should look for other things and go somewhere else, because you don't want to rub that energy off on other people, because maybe other people are enjoying it and they like the environment. Maybe it works for them. And if it doesn't work for you, then you shouldn't be bringing your negative energy into that space. And I knew that I had negative energy, and I knew that part of me was not helping. We used to be a team of 9 of us. And by the time I left, there was only 2 of us left. And that person and I would get together and complain and get like super like mad about what was happening. And, we kind of like fed off of each other's anger. And I knew it wasn't good for either one of us. And that person wasn't planning on going anywhere because they have kids that are going to be going through the university. And so I just knew it would be better if I left. And so when I left there, I actually also cashed out my retirement, which I'm going to do a whole video on where I'm at financially coming up here, and how I'm going to, rebuild my life financially. But for now, let's just say that I cashed out my retirement from there, and which, falls along with the security. I started freelancing, and I've been doing an okay job with that. I have a few clients. I definitely need more. When I first moved to Charlotte, I got a job working in Uptown. And I think I talked about this in one of the other videos too. It was at a school, like it was actually a community college. I really liked it. I loved the people and I liked the environment. It was really nice. The campus was really nice. But Milo is very anxious in the car, and the commute back and forth was just too much, honestly too much for him. But even the last week of me working there, I had been having heart palpitations like constant. It wasn't just like an occasional, it was like all day long, even at night. And I had never experienced that before. I've had heart palpitations in the past when I was overly stressed, but like this was over the top stressed. And I quit because I was like, I'm either going to be one of those Monday morning statistics where they die of a heart attack, or I'm going to know that I have skills and I have experience to be able to help and do what I actually want to do, which is help small businesses grow, start and grow with my skills, which is digital media. So I know it's needed, and I know that I'm a good worker and I can do it, and I'm very good with people. So I quit there, and whether that was a good thing or not at this point, I'm a little nervous just financially, but at the same time, I think I needed to go. Like, I felt so much better once I got it. When I quit, I kind of literally just quit. Like, I went in, it was a Monday morning. I took my name tag. I can't even believe I'm telling you guys this. It's honestly embarrassing. I would never, this is just not the type of person I am, but I was just at my limit, obviously. It was also like a full moon around then, so I'm not saying, but it could be. There's a little bit of full moon behavior going on inside of me. I dropped Milo off at daycare. I drove into work, and I was so stressed out. That was the morning that he tried climbing out the back window onto the tonneau cover because he just wanted out of the vehicle that bad. And I just had had enough. I went into work, and that was the morning that faculty were coming back, and there was a new person in our department starting. So I thought, I liked my boss, and I thought he was a great person. I just didn't want to have the conversation of, well, what can we do to help you stay? What can we, because I knew that that's what would happen. And then I would end up, I always want to make everybody happy. So I'd end up being a people pleaser, and I'd end up being like, okay, yeah, maybe I could try this or whatever. But I knew in my gut I needed to go. So I just took my name tag. I had logged into the computer, but I logged out, shut the laptop, took my name tag, laid it on top of it, and I just like left and snuck out. And I basically was really hoping I didn't run into him on the street on the way to my truck, because I would die. Because I wouldn't know what I was going to say to him. Don't do that. If I could go back and do things differently, it would definitely be the way that I have quit jobs. That one and the one before that, I did give them a notice, but I still should have had a conversation that I never ended up having. And I do regret those things. Basically, it's not that I regret quitting, but I regret the way I dealt with it. And when it comes to people, like, I wish that I would have been better about communicating how I was feeling and just be firm with what I'm doing. And why I'm doing it. However, I did it, and I left, and then I called my daughter like right away, and she was like, "What are you doing?" Like, basically she was kind of freaking out for me. She's like, "You sure you want to do this? Like, I mean, I don't think this is what you should do." And I was like, "Yeah, I get that. Like, this isn't what normal people do. Like, I get that. But I'm doing it, and it's happening." And then by the time I was like halfway home, I got a text from my boss, and he was like, "Are you coming in today?" And I was like, crap. Like, I kind of thought it would be a little longer before I thought I could be able to get home and then be able to email him and say, "Hey, this is just what's going on in my life. Going through divorce. I've got a dog that's anxious, blah, 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 all these things. My heart's like skipping beats." And I thought that I could explain that, but he realized I was gone before that. And so when I got home, I texted him back right away and told him all of that in a text. And he was very nice about it, but disappointed, which I totally get. And then his boss actually had emailed me or texted me, I can't remember. And we had a conversation that night, and she was so kind about it. It was incredible. Like, it feels really dumb when you tell somebody, like, I felt so stupid being like, yeah, my dog has anxiety and he just couldn't handle the commute. Like, people that are not dog people, and I didn't know if she was a dog person or not, but she had her own story, and I honestly think she was genuinely concerned, and also like just kind of forgiving for the way that I did it. And she was like, if if things change, and we'd always love to have you back. And that made me feel so much better. Still don't love the way I did it, but um, yeah, but I did it. So that being said, I quit a lot of things in the last 6 years, 4 years, 5 years, whatever. And now I'm in a place where I need to rebuild. Not even some areas I need to rebuild, and some areas I just need to build. With my health, I'm getting back into working out 5 days a week, and I'm eating a lot better. So I switched from Coke to, I honestly always was a water drinker. I never wanted anything but water. But I don't know, the Coke must have some sort of addiction thing to it, definitely, because, well, I mean, I know people are addicted, but I really missed it. So I ended up doing some bubbly water, and it's okay. It gives me the feeling of like I'm drinking pop. And I only have it at dinner time, and I'll drink it all day. So anyway, increasing my water and yeah, eating better, working out. As far as people go, I have been, like I said, I've been networking, getting out there and meeting people as much as I can. I can't overdo it because I am like ADHD sort of burns me out basically. I love meeting new people, love talking with them, but it is exhausting, and I did a little bit too much of it last week, which meant this week I was pretty tired. I'm also actually staying in better touch with my family and friends than I ever have before. So like my best friend, I talk to pretty much weekly now, where when I lived in the same city as her, we might not talk for weeks, and like we didn't see each other hardly ever. And so now I don't know, we just make it a point to stay in touch. She's really good at it. She pretty much calls me every week, which is great because I am not a phone person. So it's really hard for me to call people. I talk to my parents maybe once a month, where, I mean, there used to be like, I would go 6 months without talking to them. And they also call me, which I really appreciate. And with my kids, like my kids and my ex-husband, we all have a group chat that we chat pretty much daily almost. We every morning say good morning to each other. And then if there's anything we want to share, we share with each other in that. So that's actually felt really good. I really miss my kids. I hate being 10 hours away from them. I don't love that. And it does make me want to move back home sometimes. I'm not ready to do that now. I don't really technically want to move back there, but I do want to be closer to them. So we'll see what happens in the future. And then as far as the environment, so I love the apartment I'm in right now. I don't love the exact area where it's at. It's very congested. I'm not close to water, so like the closest that I've found to go paddleboarding is about 30 minutes away. Don't love that. There's another area that I'm looking at that is on the water, and the apartments aren't super expensive. They're not much more expensive than what I'm paying now. So next year, when my lease is up, I probably will move closer to the water. But I will stay probably in North Carolina, potentially South Carolina. But I just need to be near water. Not growing up, but living on Lake Erie for most of my life, I love it, and it grounds me. And so I need that in my life. And then as far as security, I am currently reaching out and trying to get new clientele. This past week, I actually had planned on contacting local businesses and saying, hey, these are the services that I offer. I'd love to work with you. But then with the hurricane coming through, I feel like it's not the right time now to be reaching out to people because, I mean, there's just much bigger things to be thinking about and worrying about, I feel like, for a lot of people around here. So that was a very weird thing that happened that I just wasn't planning on happening. And so I need to work through that on how to still continue to work on my business, but actually when the area that I'm in has been so devastated, it's really hard. I am still applying for jobs on like LinkedIn, Indeed. I actually had an interview yesterday for a part-time job with a university, which I would love to get. I have another client that I work with pretty regularly, and that would enable me time to still work with that client, but be able to work with them and then take on a couple other clients. So I'm doing that as well. And then, like I said, I'm networking. So honestly, I'm going to run out of money like really soon. So if I don't get something going, there's going to have to be far more that I'm going to have to do. I know I'm going to sell some things, but it's going to be even more than that, deeper than that. I may have to get like a part-time job in the area, or yeah, part-time or full-time job somewhere around here. Job searching has been so difficult. If you're looking for a job right now, it is ridiculous. Like, even I use Upwork, and on there it's really hard to get to hear back from anybody. It's difficult with LinkedIn and Indeed. It's the most challenging time I've ever been in searching for a job. I mean, you look at jobs on Indeed and it's like within 2 hours they have 100 applicants. It's utterly ridiculous. It's really crazy, and I don't know. I just don't even know. It's been really hard. But I'm going to keep trying, and I know, I just have faith that God is going to provide, and I just need to continue that faith and know that everything is going to work out, and that my business will thrive. Like, I just know that, but there's just that like underlying fear of like, but what if? Mostly it's Craig's voice, honestly, in my head, because he's very much like, just go get a job here, just go do this, just go do that. Mostly get a job, get a job, get a job, get a job. And I'm obviously not against working. I've been working very hard. I just want my own thing. So I hope that I can make that happen. So in the end, basically, I want to say that quitting is okay. When I was a kid, I would quit whatever I didn't want to do. And it wasn't that era where it was like, you don't quit things. I did that to my kids, and I kind of partly regret that. It was like, if they didn't want to be in a sport, well, then you're going to have to carry it through for the rest of the season, and you can't quit. Because you don't want to quit everything all the time, like, obviously. Like, you want to really think it through in terms of, okay, well, what area of my life is going to be affected if I do quit this thing? What's the worst that could happen? What's the best that could happen? And then, weigh your pros and cons, and journal, make a pros and cons list, do whatever you need to do to figure it out, and make sure that, well, and that's the other thing too, is that you can't even always make sure that you're going to be okay or that it's going to be okay, because there's just no way to know. Life is a journey, and we're all just figuring it out literally as we go. So you're going to maneuver, you're going to have to turn left and right and take this path and take this path. And if you just never quit anything and you're not happy in your life, then you're never going to change anything. Nothing's going to change. You're not going to build that life that you dream of or that you want if you don't quit things that you don't want. So I guess that's my message today is I've quit. I think sometimes it's okay to quit. And on that note, I'm going to quit this video. But if you like this content, I hope that you would give it a thumbs up and also subscribe. I feel like such a dork saying that every time. Give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. I don't know where it's at. But I do genuinely hope that you do that, because I want to build a community here. I think it'd be fun. All right. Well, you guys take care, and I will see you later.